It was supposed to be the perfect camera angle, but the photographer insisted on directing the trio to move left. At first, it seemed like he was pursuing perfection, but listen closely. The woman thought another photo had been taken. She stepped forward to admire it, but the bald man urgently stopped her, telling everyone to stay still, because he never actually pressed the shutter. Then what was that sound just now? The man wanted to investigate. As he lifted his foot, his friend Hunter sharply yelled at him to stop. The sound had come from beneath his foot. Could it be? Hunter didn't dare dwell on it. He quickly brushed aside the weeds under Kate's feet, confirming his worst fear. He immediately confronted the bald man, but the man looked just as shocked, saying in this remote wilderness, he had no idea where the landmine came from, but since stepping on it didn't trigger an explosion, everyone should stay calm. Maybe it's a dud. Yet the moment he finished speaking, he left under the pretense of fetching help, but looked closely. He wasn't actually heading downhill. Instead, he eagerly climbed another mountain, pulled out binoculars and watched intently, as if anticipating a spectacle. But after what felt like an eternity, the landmine still hadn't exploded. Kate resigned herself and closed her eyes. Mary was on the verge of tears. Then Hunter managed to contact a landmine expert. Mary's face lit up with hope, thinking Kate was finally saved. But the next moment, he said the expert refused to come.
She says they don't save whores.
What?
Hunter didn't explain. Instead, he walked straight to Kate, asking if he wondered why a landmine was here. Then he grabbed a shovel from the woods and plunged it into the soil under their stunned gazes. That's right, I planted this landmine. Turns out Mary was Hunter's fiancée, but she couldn't resist her desires and cheated with Kate. Afterward, Kate even told Hunter everything, thinking he was his best friend. Since Hunter showed no reaction back then, Kate assumed it was all forgotten. Little did he know Hunter was waiting for this moment. Suddenly, Kate laughed, confidently declaring, "This landmine must be fake. If it were real, you wouldn't dare stand this close." To his surprise, Hunter admitted it wouldn't explode, but the next moment, it wouldn't have exploded earlier, but now it's different. With the safety pin removed, it could detonate anytime. Kate's smile vanished. Mary begged Hunter to spare him, but seeing Mary still pleading for her lover, Hunter was furious. He then threw the safety pin down the mountain, shouldered his backpack and prepared to leave. Mary rushed to stop him, saying the affair wouldn't affect their future.
This has nothing to do with our future. Baby.
Now is not the time to be sentimental, okay? Now's the time to dig.
After saying this, Hunter walked into the woods, where the photographer was waiting, having picked the perfect spot to watch. But Hunter said he had no interest in watching their display of affection. They should head to town and enjoy themselves. With that, the two left happily, leaving the cheating pair stranded, clueless and desperate. Kate urged Mary to leave, as he couldn't hold on much longer, but Mary refused to go, determined to save him. Soon, she found the safety pin downhill, but couldn't reattach it no matter how hard she tried. Just as they were at a loss, a hunter emerged from the distant bushes, puzzled to see. Despite the scorching heat, the man had stood motionless under the sun for 3 hours. They thought salvation had arrived, but it was only the beginning of their nightmare. The hunter suddenly noticed something alarming in the mountains. Despite the scorching heat, the man had been standing under the sun for a full 3 hours. And even stranger, there was a woman behind him constantly digging a hole. The hunter immediately sensed something was off, so he walked over and fired a shot at the man. The man instinctively flinched, but his feet refused to move an inch. This made the hunter even more suspicious. Convinced the two were hiding something, he pointed his gun at the woman and demanded answers. But she explained, the man had stepped on a landmine, and she was digging the hole, so he could jump in when it exploded, to avoid being blown to bits. The hunter couldn't help but laugh, saying he'd hunted in these mountains for over a decade, and never heard of any landmines here. Still, he lowered his rifle, but the next moment, the hunter threw a stone when the man wasn't looking. Seeing him still frozen in place, he finally believed the man was truly trapped. More importantly, no matter what he did next, the man wouldn't dare resist. Then the hunter asked the woman, "Why did your friend step on a landmine?"
It doesn't matter. Chris can't stay like this much longer.
That piqued his interest. He pressed further, "Why would your boyfriend do this?" The woman refused to answer, making the hunter even more intrigued. He used this to blackmail her. If she wanted his help, she'd have to give him something. The hunter leered at her hungrily, his eyes practically bulging. The man quickly offered everything he had, a quarter and a credit card, hoping to settle things peacefully. But the hunter seemed uninterested in this fortune, and tossed it aside. Then he started groping the woman, watching his lover being violated. The man suddenly found his spine, claiming his friend had gone downhill for help, and by now, was probably halfway up the mountain. If the hunter knew what was good for him, he'd better leave. But the hunter's response was,
Stop! Stop!
He didn't buy the man's bluff. The woman reluctantly agreed to the hunter's terms, meekly taking off her scarf and handing it over. Pleased with his prize, the hunter kept his word, and began digging the hole with exaggerated effort. But then a radio crackled to life. The woman's hope flared. She tried to use it to call for help. This time, the hunter made an even more degrading demand. He threw the scarf and told her to crawl after it, then bring it back in her teeth. Humiliating, but she obeyed. Satisfied, the hunter lent her the radio, only for her to realize the person on the other end didn't speak English. She foolishly asked the hunter to translate. He then proposed a game. For every sentence he translated, she'd have to remove an article of clothing. To save the man, she agreed to his twisted request. But after all that talking, the hunter hadn't translated a single word truthfully. He was only toying with her, for his own sick amusement. Seeing the woman break down in tears, the man burned with rage. Having had his fun, the hunter finally dropped the act, raised his gun, and ordered her to strip completely. Never seen such a despicable hunter. He actually threatened the woman at gunpoint to strip completely, yet her boyfriend stood by, too afraid to act. Then the hunter turned his rifle away. Seizing the chance, the woman fled. But the hunter knew these mountains like the back of his hand, and soon dragged her back, though he'd forgotten his gun in his haste. Thinking the man had regained control, the cunning hunter kept using the woman as a shield, making the man hesitate to shoot, because one stray bullet would kill the love of his life before his eyes. The cruelest pain in the world is watching your beloved suffer, while powerless to stop it. 3 seconds later, the hunter took his pleasure on the woman. Meanwhile, the man urged her to run, while aiming to kill the hunter in revenge. But the hunter's dog, protecting its master, charged and knocked the man down. Yet no explosion followed. The landmine was fake after all. Hunter never intended to kill Kate. He just wanted to teach them a lesson. Though he narrowly escaped death, it was already too late. The woman was brutally violated to death. 6 months later, Kate returned as a tourist. Pretending to ask for directions, he entered the hunter's home. The moment they locked eyes, the hunter was stunned. He never expected Kate to come for him, but he forced composure for his wife and daughter's sake.
You lost.
Yeah.
I'll take you.
You'll take me?
Uh-huh.
You'll help?
Of course.
But Kate insisted on staying for dinner. Trapped, the hunter agreed his family was present. He expected Kate to act out, yet Kate simply ate and left. Before leaving, the hunter warned him, "Don't touch my family, or you'll end up like that woman." Kate didn't respond, just turned and walked away. The moment he left, the hunter sent his dog after him, thinking a coward like Kate wasn't worth his bullets. But when the dog returned, it was a lifeless corpse. The hunter grabbed his rifle from the shed, yet Kate strolled out calmly. The rifle had been emptied earlier. He ordered the mother and daughter to drag the hunter inside. The hunter begged and apologized, feigning remorse, but still claimed, "I was drunk, I didn't mean it." Hearing this, Kate had an idea. He took a bottle from the counter, sipped it slowly under the hunter's gaze. "If drunkenness excuses crimes, then I'll drink too." He yanked the daughter forward, pressed a gun to her head, forced her to remove her scarf, then tossed it aside, making her crawl like a dog to retrieve it. The hunter watched, heartbroken. This twisted game now starred his child, but for Kate, grieving his lost love, the game had just begun.